Professor Paul Wexler, a Yiddish linguist, together with some other Israeli scholars who argued for the Khazarian origins of the Ashkenazi people. Listen to Al-Azhar once again.
The problem with DNA and linguistics. In 2017, Paul Wexler, an Ashenazi Jew and a linguist, and is a professor of linguistics at Tel Aviv University in Israel, along with a few other scholars, published an article in Frontiers of Genetics called The Origin of Ashkenazic Jews, and Yiddish. They came to some interesting conclusions with their findings, right? So again, here is an Ashkenazi Jew who is a linguist and a professor at another prestigious university in the country of Israel, right? And he did a genetic and linguistic test. Remember, because Dr. Michael Brown also utilizes linguistics as evidence to validate the legitimacy of Ashkenazi Jews as children of Israel. So let's see what they found in 2017. And I guarantee that this scholarship and these studies are more up to date than the ones he's utilizing to affirm the Ashkenazi Jews' legitimacy as Israelites.
Yeah, well, that guarantee goes out the window because there were studies written after that one that refute it. And I was actually citing from studies after that. I just didn't put the sources up for you, but I had them in my PowerPoint. So he correctly told you that Professor Wexler, a Yiddish linguist, suggested that there could be Khazarian Turkic origins of Yiddish. He didn't tell you that Professor Wexler's views have been rejected by the top Yiddish scholars. And that's why I quoted Professor Alexander Bieder, author of the prestigious volume Origins of Yiddish Dialects, published by Oxford University Press, one of the leading scholarly publishers in the world. Here's a picture of the book. It's hundreds and hundreds of pages long with a lengthy, detailed refutation of the Khazarian hypothesis at the end of it. I mean, detailed. I went through it. It is detailed and massive. All right, you want to get the top scholarship on it, this is where you go. As I stated during the debate, quote, there is absolutely no linguistic connection between the Khazarian people who spoke a Turkic language and Ashkenazi Jews whose first language, Yiddish, is very close to German. The Yiddish linguist and onomastic expert Alexander Bieder, I said this during the debate, has stated that, quote, the corpus of personal names and surnames borne by Jews in Eastern Europe during the last 6 centuries, as well as the Yiddish language as a whole, do not contain any link to Khazaria. This was cited in the foreword September 25th, 2017. As for Middle Eastern DNA used by Wexler and his colleagues, let's listen to Guerrilla Hebrew again.
So they went and got Middle Eastern ancient DNA, and it disqualified the Ashkenazi Jews from that being their place of origin. This is an Ashkenazi Jew himself, again, who is a professor of linguistics at Tel Aviv University, right? And our results reinforce the non-Levantine origin of the Ashenazi Jews. And again, you can go to this. This is a peer-reviewed article in the Frontiers in Genetics called The Origin of the Ashkenaz, Ashkenazic, and Yiddish.
Now, I want you to notice again, he's referred to a couple of articles as peer-reviewed, not just internet articles. So what we're going to see after this is internet articles and other bogus stuff. But even the peer-reviewed stuff, he's only telling you part of the story. Why not bring everything to the light? Why not say some say this, but the overwhelming scholarship says the other? Why not, if you have the truth, why not bring up, why hide it from people? Why be afraid that people are going to find out that what you're saying is a small part of the scholarly discussion and that scholars overwhelmingly reject your position? Why not actually say that? So Guerrilla Hebrew failed to tell you that the Middle Eastern samples were faulted by other scholars, along with the overall methodology of the study. So after that was published, a rebuttal study was published. The study relied on by Guerrilla Hebrew has been trashed by top scholars. The study was dismissed by Sergio Della Pergola as a falsification, noting it failed to include Jewish groups such as the Itakim and Sephardic Jews, to whom Ashkenazi Jews are closely related genetically. Shaul Stamfer called Alhaik, this is one of the other Israeli scholars with Wexler, called his research basically nonsense. Elhaik replied that the DNA of non-Ashkenazic Jews would not affect the origin of DNA hypothesized for the former. David Katz criticized the study's linguistic analysis, stating, the authors have melded accurate but contextually meaningless genetic correlations with laughable linguistic theories. There is not a single word or sound in Yiddish that comes from Iranian or Turkish. In a joint study published in 2016 by Genome Biology and Evolution, this is refuting the earlier study that these other gentlemen that Guerrilla Hebrew mentioned put out. He mentioned a popular one after that. This is the first one, and they're refuting it. Pavel, going on and on and on. Here's a list of all the names of the people involved, these top professors. I'm not going to take the time to read every single name here. They dismissed both the genetic and linguistic components of Elhak and others, arguing that GPS is a provenancing tool suited to inferring the geographic region where a modern and recently undermixed genome is mostly likely to arise, but it is hardly suitable for mixed populations and for tracing ancestry up to 1,000 years before present, as its authors have previously claimed. Moreover, all methods of historical linguistics concur that Yiddish is a Germanic language with no reliable evidence for Slavic, Iranian, or Turkic substrata. The authors concluded, in our view, Dawson co-authors have attempted to fit together a marginal and unsupported interpretation of linguistic data and on and on. So they completely throw it out. This is the study, Pitfalls of the Geographic Population Structure GPS Approach Applied to Human Genetic History, a case study of Ashkenazi Jews with a list of the scholars involved. That is the more recent study that completely rebuts. These top scholars saying, throw it out. It is falsification, nonsense. Guerrilla Hebrew falsely guaranteed he was citing the latest findings. The article which I alluded to in my presentation was written specifically to rebut the erroneous conclusions of the article by Professor Wexler and others. Their scholarly article was published in 2016. The one he cited was based on that study published in 2017. So here's the question. Did Guerrilla Hebrew not know this? Remember, he guaranteed it. This is most recent. No, it's been completely rebutted and rejected by world-class scholars. Was he not aware that the findings he cited had been widely rejected, or did he withhold this information from you? Then he cites an article from 2004 in Human Genetics, back to Guerrilla Hebrew.